Matchmaker Mentor, guiding with design. Arlene Washburn, the voice of the way. Illuminate the path for those who sway. With a heart so pure, she steps in the game. Teaching the rules, she's igniting the flame. Ethics and play, she's setting the tone. Bringing together those once all alone. In every connection, she sees what we lack. Rise up, take your place, it's your time to shine. In the dance of love, everything's by design. With the mentor by your side, the fears fade away. Arlene's wisdom lights the night, paving your way. Hearts where dreams align. Matchmaker Mentor, guiding with design. Arlene Washburn, the voice of the way.
Welcome to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast, the show where aspiring and experienced matchmakers come to sharpen their skills, grow their businesses, and elevate the matchmaking industry. Your host is Arlene Washburn, an award-winning ethical matchmaking advocate, mentor, and industry innovator. Let's dive in.
Sebastian, I am so excited to have this conversation with you today. You have impressed me so much. We've talked, in the past, and you were super generous, which I love. A generous, insightful business owner who is just killing it. So I would love for everybody to know more about you, who you are as a person. Tell me.
All right. Well, it's great to be here, Arlene. And my name is Sebastian Cruze. So I'm the founder of the Dream Team Network, which is a referral network for mission-driven thought leaders at 6 and 7 figures. Thought leader could be a coach, speaker, consultant, author. We have some agency owners as well. And it's really about growing, helping each other grow your business with referrals and strategic alliances, without transactional swaps, without time-wasting meetings, and without spending a bunch of money on marketing spend, because referrals convert 3 to 5 times higher than any other marketing channel. And I believe that referrals are just going to continue to increase in value because we've seen trust is at an all-time low with people. We've seen government institutions that were supposed to have it all figured out and have our back. All of a sudden, we're opening up the curtain and seeing there's a ton of corruption, as well as 3-letter agencies, global organizations, all these things, corporations. So trust is at an all-time low, which I believe referrals is going to be at an all-time high, because people are like, man, I don't even know who to trust anymore. And you sprinkle some ChatGPT, magic in there, and then pretty soon everything sounds so good. It sounds like the best thing since sliced bread. So people are going back to, okay, if I can't trust anybody and I don't even know what's real or not, then I'm just going to go back to a friend of a friend and know that they can vouch for the service. And that's what I believe is what's been a huge part of your success, is doing wonderful matchmaking services so much that people want to share it with their friends. So I feel like this will be a good conversation today.
I love everything you just said, and it's so true. We're in an era where there's so much information, but what we haven't figured out is how to determine if the information is accurate or not. So having someone vouch, and even that today is something that is becoming a little bit challenging, in that there are fake reviews, there's fake everything really digitally. So having a referral from a partner that you can trust, I could not agree more. But before we jump into the content, because I know you're going to share so many incredible nuggets that people are just going to be taking notes. I want to know about you, Sebastian Cruze, the person. What's your background? What's your story? I looked at one of your videos that was really amazing about how this whole thing came to be. But just give me a little bit of background about you.
Yes. So we'll rewind the clock and go back to a point where this all came to life for me. The mission came to life. And it was at a point in time in my life where I had passive income with a local lead generation SEO company that I owned. And so I was generating leads, thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of leads for local business owners, pest control, carpet cleaners, all throughout the US. And they were happy. I love the clients. However, I could feel in my bones that this wasn't what I was born to do. And thankfully, I had great mentors that helped me see that your calling could be connected to your business. You could have an evolved enterprise, you could have a purpose-driven business. And so that's what I wanted, but I didn't know what that was for me. And so I found myself on a plane flight where I felt this desire to start drawing. And I looked down, my hand just had a mind of its own, and I started drawing in my notebook. And minutes passed by, and I was like, okay, this is odd. This definitely doesn't happen normally. And I looked, and after my hand stopped drawing, two symbols emerged. Two distinct symbols were there. As I looked at them, it's like my eyes locked with them, and it's like electricity went up my spine, the hair standing on the back of my neck. And minutes passed by, I was just almost like in a trance with these symbols. And then that's when my whole life mission opened up for me. That's when I heard the voice, and it was like a crack. And what I saw was that for thousands of years, the most powerful people on the planet have been using and abusing the people on the planet. And I saw that there would be a window of time for new leaders to rise, new leaders focused on service instead of corruption, new leaders focused on truth instead of censorship, and new leaders focused on collaboration together instead of competition. And I also saw that this window of time wouldn't be open forever. In fact, it would be closing. And when it closed, who knows when it would be open again? It could be thousands of years before the conditions were ripe for all these institutions and layers of control and corruption, before it cracked open to give an opening for new leaders to rise. And so the message that I got was that this is way too much for any one person to do. And the mission that I got was to unite these new leaders. And this was before COVID. This was in 2016. This was before all the corruption, so many agencies and three-letter agencies and corporate organizations, came to light. And so at that moment, though, when I got that mission, I thought, well, how do I make sure I don't back down from this mission? And I thought to myself, well, if I tattoo the symbols on my body, then it'll be pretty hard to back down then. And so that's what I did, one on each shoulder. I wish I could pull this up to show right now, but I can't. And so that's how it began. And that's how the mastermind, the network began. It evolved throughout the years, but that was the origin story and is the thread that is the heartbeat through all things. And now it's culminated in this really clear mission of uniting thought leaders to help USA be number one in wealth and health, so that we as a nation can lead by example and be the rising tide that lifts all ships. Because really the name of the game is raising consciousness and having global impact. However, that's really broad. So dialing it back to, okay, how can we fix the problems in our country, in our backyard first? That's all around us. Do that before we tell anybody else what to do, because that's good leadership, right? Lead by example, integrity, be the example. So let's fix things at home, innovate, and then share that with the rest of the world. That's what I believe.
Wow, that is so deep. I got goosebumps the entire time just listening to you and I'm glad to see that you're a young person thinking this way as well. I mean, there's so many things that need to change. And what was it? I think it was Michelle Obama's mother used to tell her, don't complain, do something. And it's so true. And every single one of us has an opportunity to do something. And collaboration and uniting with other people who are like-minded in the fact that they want to help, but they can be very different and bring different things to the table. I think it's just such an important, message for everyone to hear. And I agree with you. The window opens up and then it closes. I always use a term about the pendulum swing. And often, people tend to, as human nature, like overreact to everything. So there's usually there's a small window of the middle ground, but most of the time they're either far left, far right, and I'm not talking politics, I'm just speaking in general. That pendulum is always swinging, and then you have that window to jump into the middle and make a change and do something incredible. So I love this, and I love that you call it the dream team, because it was based on almost like a dream of more of a download, which is something I talk about all the time because I'm very science and research based, but yet I do often feel, especially when I was coaching clients and things like that, that I would get like a download of what to say, which was the right thing to say, and it would resonate and help. And when you come from the intention of helping and serving, it you access this information. So I love what you're doing.
Absolutely. And thank you. And to be totally clear, I believe we're spiritual beings. I believe we're souls in this lifetime. And so, yes, connected to the higher power, depending on which label a person puts on that, personally does not matter to me. However, that connection of, being connected to something bigger than ourselves that is flowing through what we're creating, I believe that is the essence of being mission driven.
Absolutely. And whether people are mission driven or not, the reality is that we are energetic beings. I mean, solids would not stay together without the energy that keeps them together. So even from a science base, I had a friend, Dr. Aisha, who always would say, some of the woo woo is also true. And so I think people need to kind of embrace this from both the woo woo and the true, that this is real and we are all connected. And I love that message. So tell me more about how this dream team works. I want to know more about that, because in the matchmaking world, which is the area that I'm fully entrenched in, sometimes they rely too often on referrals, but maybe in not, really have the revenue per se coming in based on those referrals, because I think they might be going about it the wrong way. And I'm sure there's a way to really create ambassadors and to get people aligned and for people to refer business to you. And so I'm very curious how this dream team works, especially because you have, aside from being mission driven people, you have people from all different types of businesses. And, how do you even select them, and do they fit in? If someone has, like, let's say a matchmaker wanted to join your team, would that make sense? Because maybe all the other people there are doing business or whatever. I mean, it's all business, right? Because that's the love business. But tell me more. How does that work?
Yes. So first thing I'll say is that's a new way of doing business. It's a new way of operating. And it's so simple and it's so common sense. It's just like, I believe in 5, 10, 15 years ago, or years from now, we'll look back and be like, why did we try and do it alone? Scraping out our little corner of the earth and the world with our business. And even if it gets to 7 figures or more, it's like this tiny little piece, right? Like, why would we do it alone when we could link arms and be part of a team? So for anybody who's felt that collaboration energy, who's been ahead of the curve, the time is now. And so what that practically looks like, because we can have the spirit of that, right? But what does it tangibly look like is, I'll share a story. So this began recently, well, I'd say last year, when I was partnering up with a mentor of mine, and who generated, Yannick Silver, he had generated a lot through referrals. So I asked him, like, how much have you generated through referrals? And he said, 20 million. And then he started talking about something else and doing something else. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. Like, slow down, for real? Like 20 million? And he's like, yeah, that's being, conservative. And he's really humble about things. So I'm just like, wow, that planted the seed in my mind. What if I could double down, triple down on referrals and not give any more money to Mark Zuckerberg? That was an interesting idea to me. And so hold on here, the screen, I think, changed a little bit. So I'm just working with the recording here. So that planted in my mind. So I started building a referral network for myself. It was really a referral circle. So the dream team concept was, hey, why don't we get the dream team of different experts, different providers to help the clients that we're working with, and then we could be natural referral partners for each other. So the book coach, could recommend the speaking coach, which could recommend the mastermind coach, and have this natural circle that's part of the client's hero's journey. And so I hit up people that I had known for years and years and years and knew their work was top notch. Branding is another one of that. And I put together this circle, and then that circle exploded from 5 to 10, 15, 25, 45 people, 65 plus and counting. And then I looked around and realized, whoa, like we're not a circle anymore. Number one, we're a network. And number two, these are incredible people that I have the highest respect for, 6 and 7 figure thought leaders. And so that's how this birthed. And it really has been an energy of its own, because maybe you can relate where sometimes I know for myself, I've tried to create something that I was really excited about, but it's kind of like forcing it, if that's ever happened to you. And on other times like this time, it's like something came alive here and it has a whole energy of its own. It's like, whoa, I'm stewarding this energy rather than trying to force it. So that's how this came on the scene. And then the network was born. So to bring that back to like, how can this help a matchmaker? I would say, number one, knowing that it's possible. By the way, because with Yannick, the person I mentioned, the mentor, that's no commissions. No commissions, just straight people referring because they're so wowed with their experience and happy to refer. And there's certain incentives and prizes that they did as well. But first, at the top level, I'd say, A, it's possible. B, how can we start taking the same intention, the same focus that a person brings into marketing and sales? Just bring that into the world of referrals.
It's really interesting. I used to belong to a group that many years ago, and it was a bunch of divorce professionals, not attorneys, but people on the periphery of that. What was challenging, and I'm impressed that you were able to grow this so much, because allowing people to come in was very challenging in that not everybody agreed, or it was like, they were always trying to get consensus about who would come in. I mean, we knew that there were certain individuals that were practitioners of a certain kind that fit into the group. But that aside, getting the right person, knowing that their work is good, and, feeling comfortable referring business to them when maybe somebody else that you would prefer to send the business to, with or without referral fees. And I think in that case, that particular group, they weren't paying referral fees. It was just trying to develop this team of people that can support an individual, before, during, and after divorce, outside of the attorney, forensic accountants. I was in there as a dating and relationship coach when people were ready to move on to, being in a relationship, and then also matchmaking if they wanted to hire a matchmaker. And it was really, really challenging. So I'm very impressed that you're able to create this group. And I'm curious, how do you even go about selecting the members?
Yeah, great question. It really lives and dies based on the members. And so mission, vision, values, super key right up front. That's why on dreamteamnetwork.ai, I literally have that on the website. And that, I wish I would have realized that sooner, because what I've realized in my own journey is like, I'll have a mission, vision, values, and like they somehow make it to the back end of the website or off the website into a PDF document and hidden somewhere. And I wish I'd been a quick study at that, but it just always moves away until I got to a point where I was getting so many referrals where I'm like, okay, I can't be doing all these calls. Like I need to just put it right out at front. And people continue to still book. So first I'd say being very clear, what is the mission? What are the vision? What is the vision? What are the values? For us, it's values of focus. Number one, we 80-20, the 80-20, because we ain't going to get anything done if we're not focused. And we can have all these conversations and it feels good, it's nice, but if it's not moving the needle for results, then we're not accomplishing the mission. So focus, number one. Second value is heart-centered leadership. We lead by example. And that one I feel like wraps a lot of them in there. It's like respect, number one, because if we don't have respect for each other, we can't win as a team. We just can't. And other one is generosity. That's like in that umbrella of heart-centered leadership. So do we lead with generosity? And that's one of the things early on that I realized was like, oh, there's certain people that like looks great on paper, but it's the them show. And they will not ask you if you need any help. And I'm like, that is totally different than the vibe that we have. It's almost, we got to be mindful of ourselves that we'll overgive. We'll be generous to a fault sometimes. So our thing is to really like, okay, watch each other's backs of making sure it's balanced so that, giving from an overflowing cup rather than an empty cup. So heart-centered leadership and not telling anybody to do what we do not do ourselves. Pretty simple. So those are two values. Then the third value is collaboration. So we win together. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, if this is our mission, USA, number one, health and wealth, and it's helping each other's businesses, the more we all grow together, the better it is for everybody. The more doors it open, the more somebody shoots up, on a big podcast, great. That's helping bring us all there together. So winning together. So put it all together, I would say a starting point is mission, vision, values, very clear.
I love that. And I think that translates to anyone with any kind of business. Put that front and center on your website so people understand what you're all about. And I think that will bring you the right clients too. You don't want the people that are not aligned to that. It's just a waste of everybody's time. I agree with you. And I could definitely vouch for the fact that you're super generous, because we had a couple of sessions that I was like, wow, I feel like I need to pay for this. But I am so grateful that we had those conversations. And I love focus, because that's an area that's been the challenge of my life. I have so many ideas and so many things, and, just being hyper focused just to get it done, which I do, but it's better to like do one thing at a time and not do 20 things at once. I love it. And also, I recognized when I started a referral network for matchmakers, where it's very challenging to refer a business to a matchmaker who wants to be everything to everyone. Most of the matchmakers that do well on our platform are those who have a niche where it's very clear what they do and what their expertise is. And therefore, if somebody comes to us and they're looking for a matchmaker, we can say, oh yeah, it's, so-and-so. We know that's what they do. So I could not agree with you more. And thank you for that message for me and for everybody else who's listening, because focus is everything. Tell me a little bit about what is the best way for people to deal with referrals and to create something for themselves, not just other colleagues, but even their own clients. I'm sure there's a method to it, because I know, in the matchmaking world, often matchmakers will rely on referrals, but it's never enough of a percentage of their business to, where they're putting enough effort and setting it up the right way in order to get those referrals, especially if they're doing really good work. And it's a shame that other people aren't coming through because they don't know about it. They haven't built the, ambassadors and things like that. What would you say are some key elements that they should have?
Yes. So I've got some great keys that I've seen really help people go from like zero referrals or low referrals to like referrals coming out of their ears. And the beauty is that it's simple. So the topic today is maximize your referrals. And so this is especially useful if you are like, what I'd invite you to do is think about how many referrals are you receiving right now each week? And I believe, as I was just sharing with some members, the referrals that you're receiving each week, if it's low, we got a problem each week. If it's zero each week, oh boy, we really got a problem. But you're in the right place, and we can solve a lot of that right now. So maximize your referrals. It's all about becoming highly referable and creating long-term alliances so that you can have a consistent stream of high-quality referrals flowing to you every week. So the first thing is the niche focus, which I love that you spoke on. And in my years, this can have a lot of resistance with people. However, I have one question that makes all the resistance go away, because people are multi-talented, multi-experienced, have client case studies in all these different places. And I get it, it's amazing. And the one question we ask ourselves is, what's the number one expertise that you want referrals for right now? What's the number one expertise you want referrals for right now? And so if in the matchmaking world, if you're with moms who have kids who are like really into their sports, if that's your niche within a niche, you're going to be able to speak to them so clearly, so connectedly, that it's going to resonate with them. You're going to stand out. You're going to be different. And so one thing I share with people is that I recommend is be boring with what we do. Be unique with how we do it. Be boring with what we do. Be unique with how we do it. Because if we're not, quote unquote, boring with what we do, then nobody knows what we do. That's why I literally have in my name, Sebastian Cruze Referrals. Because it's like, that's the one thing to start. Then how I do it is I bring in mission, I bring in soul contract, human design, all these different things, time systems, time freedom. So that's how I do it. That's unique. Now, with a matchmaker listening to this, I would recommend looking at your top 2 case studies. Who are your top 2 case studies that have gotten the easiest, fastest, and best results? You love all your clients the same. However, objectively speaking, which one's got the fastest results with you? Boom, they signed up. Boom, they got that match. They're good to go. The easiest results, like working with them, like you'd give them a little sprinkle and they just take off. Easiest, fastest, best results. Maybe they're still married over after so many years, and like you see their beautiful family that they've created. So altogether, who are those top 2 client case studies that come to mind? That's what I would recommend. And looking at, okay, is this a business executive who sold their company and now they are on a spiritual journey and now they really want more connection and meaning in their life, and they're like looking at themselves differently, maybe doing some journeys as well. Oh, you have 2 client case studies like that. Okay, let's zero in on people, because then you can find out where they hang out. Masterminds, networks where people just sold their business. Plant, journey medicine type things, right? You can find it there. So being boring with what you do, it's like, okay, matchmaking. How and who do you serve? What is your unique flavor? And that's what I just see work incredibly well for referrals, is like everybody, yourself included, who's listening, has a unique story, unique background. Were you in corporate and then you moved out of corporate? Or have you been a lifelong entrepreneur and that's all you've known? Or were you an athlete and then you moved into something else? Whatever that is, use that. And why do we use that? Because imagine a friend is referring you. They want to feel confident that you can take care of the person that they're referring, right? Otherwise, it's going to make them look bad. And so if they can point to, yeah, she went through this, just like what you're going through, or he went through this, just like you're going through, and they got case studies like bam, 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 then that builds a lot of trust and confidence. Instead of what I see people doing is overthinking and spinning their wheels, like I did for many years, of being like, what is my customer avatar? It's this, this, this. I want to help the world. I want to help everybody. I can help everybody. And then throw it into ChatGPT, and pretty soon it's saying it's this age. What I find is that's the slow path for referrals. So fast path, bring it home for this segment, which is be boring with what we do, be unique with how we do it, leverage your direct experience and your top 2 case studies, and then zero in on that, because when you don't have to be everything to everyone, it's a beautiful feeling, it's peaceful, it's prosperous, and it's just like being on a team, like a football team. There's linemen, there's wide receivers, there's running backs, there's quarterback, there's defensive teams, there's special teams. And each player knows that they don't have to be everything. Imagine that. If you're, the wide receiver, that's got to be the lineman, that's got to be all this stuff in the kicker. No, that's not how it works, but that's what we approach it with business. At least I did. Right? Especially if you have a heart to serve as well, then pretty soon you're doing that, but then you're burnt out, not making enough, the referrals aren't flowing. Instead of being like, all right, I'm a wide receiver. This is my zone. I'll let other people refer other people different things. And then that's what helps create the clarity, which creates the referrals.
Wow. Oh my God. That is like every sentence and word that you used was so useful. Like there was not a wasted thing that you said. And I love it. And you started by looking at your information and who's your ideal client in terms of, easy success. And that kind of gets into the metrics, which often business owners don't tend to look at their metrics, which is something that's detrimental because that's very useful information. And forming those alliances and finding those people that are going to supplement what you do, amazing. Also, great way. And then the niche. I mean, this is a struggle because I train people who want to become matchmakers, and often that's the hardest thing is finding their niche. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, but just kind of summing up what you said, um, case studies and almost like not just case studies, but even the story behind it. Stories, people learn from stories more than they do from just throwing a bunch of facts and figures and things like that. So, and the client journey, oh my God, that is so important. Understanding where your client came from, or maybe you would have been your client, and connecting that, I think is a great way to do it. Because I know people, including myself, like when I spent 20 years in the pharmaceutical industry working long hours, I was a single mom. That whole story is stuff that resonates. And when I think about my number one client that I always talk about, my case study was a doctor who was, a New York Times bestselling author. And I introduced her to my actual client. She was a coaching client. He was the client for matchmaking. And he was a pharmaceutical industry executive, pretty high up there. And they got together. I mean, we just had a party for my husband's 60th birthday, and they came because they're still married now for over 10 years. So
Wow.
I see how what you're saying is 100,000% true. And it's so resonates because it happened in my own life, when I was a matchmaker. I now just teach it. I don't do matchmaking. But I want to talk a little bit more about how people can determine their niche, because I'm constantly struggling with helping individuals, number one, recognize the importance of it. Because I feel like if you can go deep, then you can go wide. And by the way, when you have a niche, if somebody comes to you who falls outside of that, you can pick and choose if you want to work with them. So it's not like you're turning business away. It's more that you're becoming a specialist. And your analogy about the football team, I was a basketball player, but whatever, that is so true. You can't be every position on the team. You have to choose your position and play it well and assist others in order for you to have success. So, I mean, what you're sharing is gold, but let's talk a little bit more about the niche. I want to know how you help. I know you work with clients and things like that. How do you help people figure out their niche?
Yes. So the target is 1 to 3 keywords that describes what you do. Why 1 to 3 keywords? Because nobody remembers anything else. Everybody forgets. And so paying attention to how do people describe us is really key. And so with the niche, I would say being boring with what we do. Okay, we've got matchmaking for everybody. And then the unique way of how you do it, the people you serve, then I would say case studies. So what are the case studies? What's the truth of who you've served with your experience? And then just zeroing in on that. And it will change, it will refine. That's okay, it's normal. I will say, without having the niche, it's hell. It is hell. There's no mincing words. It is a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, zero respect, not much money, if any at all. And it's hell until it clicks. And it clicks and we got heaven. All of a sudden, there's opportunity everywhere. There's referrals flowing. You get to choose who you work with. You get your time back. Money's flowing. It's like, am I living on the same planet? And so that's available for all of us. And so I would like to, usually what I just identify is like, where do people feel blocked the most? And just really coming back to it is, how many referrals is a person receiving a week? And do you want to be easy to refer or hard to refer? Imagine being a friend and you're like, okay, I have this matchmaking friend that I've known for years. I love this person. Like they just have this gift. They freaking connect to a person's soul, and then they just download what that person's looking for, where they're at, what's their thread line for the future. And then all of a sudden they're like connected to all these different people, and they just start lining up and attracting the right person. Like it's a gift, right? Imagine you have that friend that can do this and you want to refer them, but you're like, okay, so how should I introduce you? And it's words, complicated. And they're like, okay, I kind of blacked out a little bit, but I really want to help you because I really, like my friend. That's what it's like when we're complicated with our communication. And when we don't have a niche too, it's like, well, I can help this person. I can help this person and do this. And then one of two things happens. A person either goes, okay, I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. And they never do, because they mean well, but like we just gave them a freaking word salad jambalaya with all this stuff. And we're like, here, go make me a meal and grow my business. It's like, oh, I got to take a nap first, but I'll get to that tomorrow.
Oh,
So that either happens, or they just go, hey, so-and-so, this is my friend. You guys are amazing. You guys should meet. And it's not a smooth handoff of the referral.
yeah.
So I'd say if you want to be easy to refer, simplify the language, zero in on your niche, have a few keywords. So in your case, it's like the keywords that I hear, which, by the way, a little short aside, when I had my local SEO company, it was search engine optimization. And that's how I generated over $15 million for clients through passive income systems, was ranking the right keywords on Google to show things. So what I realized is for us as humans, since we have so many things vying for our attention, we work in keywords because there's so much information to filter through. So if, with your story, Arlene, it's like, okay, you were in corporate for, I believe, 20 years. Boom, power, respect, farm industry. Whoa, she's seen different things and she's like tapped into things and she got out of it. And then single mom as well. Like those are keywords that, boom, forms an avatar of like high caliber, high powered corporate single mom women who want to find love that they can build a family with. And then their daughter, will have a great cohesive family together while not feeling like they've got to hold back their ambition and everything they've worked so hard for. And you come in, you're like, boom, I am the matchmaker for high caliber women with a specialty, in pharmaceuticals. Then it's like, oh my God, this woman came from on high as an angel to come help me find love. Well, holy smokes, now you're in a field of one. Who else is going to compete with that?
Yeah, that is so true. It's really amazing, what you're sharing. And I love basically what you're saying is to just be in flow, like to just be, don't swim upstream, because you're 100% right. When I started my business, I did focus primarily, my first client came along, he was great. And I built a database around this client. And then I went and got more clients like him. And so my full database was really all women that were looking for the type of men that I was working with. And it just so happens, but you're 100% right. I wish I would have known that back then. I could have focused just on the pharmaceutical industry. Those people work their butts off and don't have time for anything. And, that could have been a great market for me. I never really put the energy into it. And now, my focus is finding those people who are burnt out on the corporate world or whatever job that they're doing. Like me, I was making really good money. I was a single mom, that whole thing. And then I learned about this whole matchmaking thing. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is something you could do for a living. And when I was actually let go, because the universe always provides, I would have probably stayed in the corporate world and, pharma forever because it paid the bills and I had a very nice lifestyle, but the universe provided. I was let go and I was like, this is my chance to go into this matchmaking thing. became a matchmaker, and then now I teach it exclusively. That's all I do is I help other practitioners to develop their businesses and things like that. And those are the people that I'm after now to make sure that they get out of the rat race and feel, like you said, even with your story, you were doing something, you were having success, but it wasn't your calling. It didn't make you feel like, people think that money is going to motivate all that. No, you need to get to self-actualization. You need to feel like you're really contributing in a meaningful way that matters to you. And there's such a need now. I mean, we can go down this rabbit hole, but right now there's so many people who are lonely. And I really do think that matchmaking could be the answer because there's so many apps and people are just tired of swiping and sifting. They really want to connect with a human, work with a human, not with an algorithm. That used to be my tagline, because they're just like, I need to connect. I need a human to help me and also to help me navigate when I'm out there meeting people. Am I doing this the right way? Can you give me some advice on how I can do this better, etc. But everything you have said is just so amazing and gold. People need to hear what you're saying because this applies to any kind of business, but particularly with matchmaking, forming these alliances and just going about it the right way to make it easy. Like in our industry, we refer business to one another, but even that's difficult because you're like, okay, how would you want me to send you a referral? Do you want an email? Do you want this? Do you want that? What is your advice about the mechanism used for, to make it super easy? Like, here, you're going to send me a referral. This is what I do. These are the people that I serve. And here's how to send them to me. Because that becomes, believe it or not, in my industry, the matchmakers have a hard time just figuring out how to send a referral. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, this is a great next step. And this happens to everybody as well, too. So, yeah, because it's like all this gold is there, but there's so much fog covering it up. So what I wouldn't do is say, send them to this website or send them to this document or have them download this ebook or do this or whatever, this stuff that just keeps them being away from connected from you. I see a clear distinction between referrals and affiliates. Affiliates could be like joint ventures as well in the marketing world. So referrals to me are always three-way introductions. Three-way introduction, transfer of trust. Affiliate is like, I have a link and a person clicks on the link and they go to the webpage and then it, tracks if they buy, right? So almost like in the same sphere, but different. So the three-way introduction, what I recommend people with is email works great. Also being mindful of the person, like the potential customer, where are they most active? So if they are not on email and they're just swamped in email because they're in corporate and they're like, don't even want to touch that, but they are super active on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it is, or text in the right context, then that's what I would say. My personal preference is email. It works out really nice. But if they can't be that, then where is ideal for the prospect? And then that's where a person referring, you want to arm them. You want to give them, make it as simple as possible for them to refer. So your credibility bullet points, 1 to 2, maybe 3 credibility bullet points. What I call them is really like respect. So how can they in an instant, can their left brain, their logical mind be like, okay, Arlene has 20 years experience in corporate. She's a single mom. I'm thinking of your story when you were going into matchmaking, right. And it's like, boom, boom, boom. Because what I've found is that there's doors in people's minds for all of us. Because we're bombarded with so much information and all sounds great. And so we have these doors that block things. And we can't hear anything else, I believe, until that's opened. So literally these keywords are like keys that open the door. Boom, we get a little bit more. So it's like, for example, if the respect door is still closed, like, why should I listen to this person? Then everything stops with that. You could have the right heart center this, right heart center that. But I found it's like people are like, especially if they're, busy, high powered as well, they need that respect to open up. And then it's almost like the energy goes to the heart. Okay, well, let me see where you're coming from in your story. Okay. So to put this all together, I'd say 3-way introductions, giving your referrer the tools of like, here's my short bullet points, and making it as simple as possible, and then responding to that 3-way introduction, of course, with, a time to talk, especially in this, where it's matchmaking business, where it's a higher ticket thing. And it's like one match could change their life forever. I mean, how many people have we seen that have all the money in the world, but they don't have the love that they want?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I'll just put it right there. 3-way introductions, respond to it, hop on a call with them, make it simple.
I love it. It's so succinct and so important what you said, because if you don't arm someone with that information of the bullet points, what happens is they have an interpretation of what you do, or how they want to represent you. And sometimes it's completely off. And I even had that recently. It's very confusing. And I know there's something in my language that needs to change. When I talk to people, they think I'm the matchmaker, but I'm not a matchmaker. I teach matchmaking for aspiring and existing matchmakers. And so I have to make sure that if someone refers a person to me, that they understand what I do. And so it's very, it's really good to have those bullet points. And I love your analogy about the keys, keywords.
Yeah.
Love the play on words. I mean, Sebastian, I said this to you before we got on this conversation, that you remind me so much of my daughter, because it's like your personalities are incredibly similar from what I know of you. Like, she just knows the right things to say and how to say them, and there are no words wasted. And I always used to say to her, Gabrielle, your brain, you have this brain mouth connection is like an automatic weapon. So you have to be very responsible with how you use it. But you guys remind me of each other. It's everything you said is just gold. I mean, when the people listening to this are going to be like, wow, let me take notes and let me use this going forward, because this is how you have success. This kind of clarity. I'm just blown away. So what else do you want to share before we jump off? Because I feel like I can talk to you for hours and hours. What else would you want to share that's important that people learn? And then, we'll talk about how people can get in touch with you. And we'll be sharing a gift that you provided as well.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of gift, that would be the thing to bring it home here, is to have a free gift that you can give to potential prospects. Again, so simple, but you'd be shocked by how much it's not done. Where they have that 3-way introduction, and you can give them a gift. Now, not an ebook, not something like that. It's in this case with matchmaking, a certain session that you can gift them. So an example of what I wouldn't recommend is a 1-hour introductory meeting, or a 15-minute chat, or a 20-minute whatever. I've seen people who are totally talented, clear on everything else, but that's their first step for people to take with them. And it's crickets for referrals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they take that 30-minute session, which is a strategy call or an assessment or a roadmap or something, and name it the right thing that people feel connected to the value, then referrals are coming out of their ears. Like, it's magic. It's amazing to see. And for example, one person, we just tweaked that. Boom, they were on a referral networking call. They received a $15K VIP day client from that, because they had their gift. It's very intentional there. It's not a freebie. It's not an introductory thing. It's a gift. Because if it doesn't feel like a gift, it's not doing its job. And if it isn't a gift, it doesn't feel like a gift and isn't a gift, it's not doing its job. And if a person who's referring isn't like this is a gift, like I'm excited to share this, you connect you two together, then it doesn't have the referral magic. So what's an example of that gift? It could be, XYZ assessment or an XYZ blueprint. In your scenario, when you were, leaving corporate, it's, I'm just putting words here. We can, workshop it, but it's basically like, mm, yeah,
Like,
a love assessment for high caliber women who are single moms. You can tailor it a bit to like be as precise or more general as you want, but something like that helps people be like, oh, this is for me. It's going to assess, or it's going to paint my love roadmap or my love vision. Like, whoa, this is going to be great. And then you do that complimentary on the house.
yeah, I used to do a love clarity session
Hmm.
just to figure out like what is important to you. And because often people don't ask themselves certain questions, and I find that people don't know themselves as much as they think they do, or at least are not conscious of what they know about themselves. And so just having a conversation where you're answering key questions that you've never asked yourself before brings in the clarity, and then connecting the dots with what's already happened, what's happened before, etc. It helps you to realize, okay, well, this is the pattern. I know myself, this is the pattern, and all that good stuff. I love this. Yeah, that's really, really good. Giving a gift, would you say, would it be good to give, let's say, a video? Let's say a matchmaker wants to give a gift, and she maybe gives a video on the 5 love languages, or just to give something that doesn't include the conversation, but in addition to the conversation.
It can be tricky. Because if not done the precise way, it ends up just being another thing to do, almost like assigning homework,
Okay.
excuse me, which is interesting because even if it's coming from the right place, even if it's truly a serve, even if it's super valuable, it can still be, oh, I just got a homework bucket. So yeah, it's really finding I would go right to the thing. And then what you could do is they book the call with you, and then it redirects them to the video or the page and say, hey, here's a little, bonus gift for you, optional.
Yeah.
And I would put optional because it's like, there are some, there's a good amount of people that are like, okay, well, in order to be like an A player or high caliber or a student, like I got to go through it all. And now I just got to sign homework. Now I'm already stressed. I'm just going to like wait till next quarter or wait till next year to do this. So there are tweaks like that to be mindful of.
It's pretty obvious, and I didn't know this about you before, that you were a digital marketing expert, because what you just said is so true. So you obviously know this stuff. And I really think that to be really good in that area, you have to have the understanding of human nature and the psychology behind how people operate. So that's really, really valuable information. Thank you for that. Wow. I just want to continue to talk to you forever, but we can't do that. I know you have a life and a very important business that you run. But how can people get in touch with you, and what else would you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a gift. So I have a free ticket for our next Dream Team Network call for people that qualify. So if you're a mission-driven thought leader, coach, speaker, consultant, author, agency, that is at 6 or 7 figures and is aligned with what you see on the page with who we are for and who we are not for, then you can apply for our free ticket, experience the magic, experience the community of highly vetted, highly curated, mission-driven thought leaders. And what it'll do on this page, dreamteamnetwork.ai/free ticket, is you'll go down, click the button, and then you can book a time with me. We'll have a brief check-in chat, just make sure it's aligned, mission, vision, values. And then we can have you join aboard the call, experience it, get some referrals flowing. And that's at dreamteamnetwork.ai/free ticket.
Excellent. We'll add that to the show notes. And I could not thank you enough, Sebastian. What you shared today was amazing, as I fully expected. From day one that we talked, I'm like, this guy's got to be on my podcast. And I hope you'll come back again. Thank you so much for the gold. And I think people will find a lot of value in everything that you said today.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. So much fun as always. And the last message I'll share for today is you listener listening as a matchmaker. I mean, there is a epidemic of loneliness, as Arlene has shared and continues to share. People want love. People need love more than ever before. And I believe the matchmakers here have a beautiful mission, a beautiful calling, a beautiful purpose that is so life-changing in so many ways. So I believe it is your duty to be as prosperous as possible so you can help as many people in your niche as possible and lead by example of having the love that you want in your life, the time freedom that you want in your life, the finances that you want in your life, and share that abundance, share that love with every client that you have.
Wow. Mic drop. I'm going to steal all of that and use it going forward. Thank you so much. That was so good. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow matchmakers and friends. For more resources, training, and inspiration, visit lovepromastermind.com and follow us on social media. Remember, matchmaking isn't just a career, it's a calling. Let's keep building connections, changing lives, and growing together. Until next time, stay inspired and keep matching.